The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
Americans are building a mountain to the sky. Unfortunately, it's made out of trash. Right now, about 90% of our garbage ends up in landfills or gets incinerated. Only 10% gets recycled. We have the technology to nearly reverse those figures and recycle 80% of what we throw out. Hi, I'm Begley Jr., and this is today's Environment, where we examine new ways to make this planet a better place to live. We hear lots of talk about government regulators clamping down on industries that pollute our precious atmosphere. But what are industries doing to make adjustments? We'll show you how one technology helps put a lid on emissions.
Every day, incinerators, power plants, and other industries produce a poisonous gas known as sulfur dioxide. By burning sulfur-laden coal, oil, and trash, contaminants are released that can irritate the eyes and respiratory systems of humans. They may also dissolve in water droplets to form acid rain, which can harm or even kill wildlife and vegetation. That's why government limits the amount of sulfur dioxide released into the atmosphere. Industry must comply or face fines and shutdowns. In order to help industries stay in compliance while saving money, downtime, and aggravation, Hammertech Corporation developed the Vortis L, better known as the Smart Elbow. For this power plant to meet clean air standards set by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, powdered magnesium oxide must be combined with water and sprayed into a flue gas scrubbing unit. The spray contacts the plant's exhaust gases and washes the sulfur dioxide and other pollutants out of the fumes. Nature does the same with rain. But unfortunately, the resulting sulfurous liquid comes to the ground in the form of acid rain. In the gas scrubber, the magnesium oxide combines with the acids and the collection tank catches and contains the resulting slurry. The slurry goes to dryers, and the deliquified powder is then transferred to a recycling plant where it can be processed back to magnesium oxide and hydrogen sulfate. The magnesium oxide can be returned to the plant to be used again and again. Every day, tons of magnesium oxide are transported pneumatically through these pipes in order to help eliminate the plant's harmful emissions. The problem? Well, the abrasive powder erodes the metal sweep elbows in the conveying line. The result? Well, the plant's stainless steel elbows wore through about every 4 months and caused leaks. Because of the pressure required for system operation, even a pin-sized hole in a sweep elbow created an overwhelming cloud of dust and a major mess. Plus, when repairs shut down a system for an extended period, the EPA may require the plant to shut down because the scrubbers can no longer eliminate the harmful emissions. The downtime can translate into considerable expenses, and frequent repairs can add up, and so does the paperwork and cleanup required by the EPA. But plant officials discovered Hammertech Smart Elbows made from a variety of alloys to meet application requirements. They can accomplish a change of direction in much less space than a conventional sweep elbow without any drop in system pressure. And they can withstand years of highly abrasive treatment without developing leaks that cause system failure or shutdown. For an industry that relies on pneumatic conveying lines to transport abrasive chemicals from one point to another, it's a smart way to help turn the corner on dangerous emissions.
America's insatiable demand for paper consumes over 850 million trees per year. Recycling saves trees, energy, and air pollution. Please recycle and buy recycled. And get involved with today's environment today.
Isn't this a tranquil sight? But do we know what really lurks beneath the soil? All kinds of toxins are percolating into our groundwater. But a new technology is at work to help nature fight back. Let's take a look.
Mother Nature is a powerful force, but she seems defenseless when it comes to hazardous waste. Embedded within American soil are nearly 2 million federally regulated underground storage tanks. Between 25 and 30% of these are leaking. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency continues to learn about others daily as states attempt to catalog all the tanks unknown to the government. That means gallons of gasoline, solvents, and other chemicals slowly leach into our soil and often contaminate drinking water supplies. Cleanup is no easy task. Over the years, large sums of money have been thrown away on ineffective technologies.
By 1992, the EPA advised regulators to lower their expectations. Government officials said many sites would not be cleaned up because they just didn't have the technology to do it effectively.
6 years ago, New Mexico's Environment Department called for someone to develop a way to clean up hazardous waste quickly and cost-effectively. By using the natural forces of Mother Nature, Billings and Associates Incorporated pioneered an earth-friendly technology that injects cost-effective solutions into cleanup sites nationwide. Even if technologically possible, what once would have taken decades can now be accomplished in 1 to 4 years for roughly half the cost. It's a simple lesson in science. Tiny living organisms called microbes live underground and eat naturally occurring carbon. They eventually start producing offspring, which eat carbon as well. But once they've used the limited underground oxygen supply, they die. This new technology, known as SVVS biosparging, takes advantage of those microbes. By pumping oxygen in the form of air down into the soil and groundwater, the microbes can breathe, proliferate, and continue to eat more carbons, the primary components in pollutants. In doing so, they produce only harmless byproducts of carbon dioxide and water. Simple valves control air input and vacuum rates. If a portion of the site is responding slowly, more remediation stress and more air can be applied through valve adjustment. Monitoring with field instruments shows when carbon dioxide and hydrocarbons are low enough to designate an area as clean. Then more air can be used in other areas to help cleanup occur faster. New remote sensing and computer technology also tell employees when and where to close valves without being on site. This additional advancement will speed up the process even more, thereby further reducing cleanup costs. Now licensed nationally through environmental improvement technologies, small corner gas stations to large power and chemical plants are getting results at or near drinking water levels, and that will help to suppress the potential for environmental damage. When we return, liquid natural gas projects that help the planet breathe easier, plus cryogenic grinding, a new concept explored on Today's Environment.
Air pollution knows no boundaries. It travels around the globe, threatening the health of young and old alike. Solutions won't drop out of thin air, but efforts are underway to find an alternate road to cleaner fuels. Let's see how.
As populations expand around the world, governments spend billions of dollars each year to improve transportation networks. And every year, they sweat to scrounge up funds for improving air quality. Currently, 126 metro areas in the U.S. violate the National Ambient Air Quality Standards.
By the year 2010, worldwide consumption of crude oil is expected to reach 25 billion barrels annually. Now that translates into about 9 billion tons of emissions floating into our Earth's atmosphere each year.
But federal regulations are clamping down on emissions, requiring eventual use of alternative fuels that produce less air pollution than gasoline or diesel. Already, numerous cities and states are considering fuels like liquid natural gas, known as LNG. Although utilities have used this gas for the past 2 decades, its application in vehicles is fairly recent. The most ambitious LNG project is well underway in Houston. In 1990, city staff evaluated fueling options for its Metro bus system with guidance from Booz Allen and Hamilton Incorporated, an international management and technology consulting firm. After scrutinizing the alternatives, LNG appeared to be the cheapest and most practical non-petroleum, low-emissions fuel. The main component of natural gas is methane, which is a simple hydrocarbon. Liquefaction of natural gas requires refrigeration to minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Heavy-duty engines designed to operate on LNG reduce carbon monoxide by 95%. hydrocarbons by 80%, and nitrogen oxide by 30% compared to diesel engines. And LNG engines do not produce smoke. Houston Metro embraced LNG and undertook the burden of developing equipment suitable for public transit. Consultants estimate nearly a $100,000 savings each year in fuel costs by the year 2000 compared to other alternative fuels. While conversion kits enable diesel engines and buses to operate on natural gas, they represent a 25 to 100% premium over diesel engines. These cost penalties are expected to drop as large numbers of LNG engines are placed into service. Another advantage is LNG's high octane rating of 130, which results in much greater engine performance and efficiency than is possible with gasoline. When it comes to safety, LNG has never caused a fatality nor an injury in an accident. It has a lower flammability rate than gasoline. Energy experts at Booz Allen and Hamilton say the U.S. can tap into plenty of domestic natural gas beneath the Earth's surface, probably 60 years' worth. Meanwhile, researchers continue to explore other options, like electric vehicles. And the world may breathe easier as public policies shift into high gear and move us into a cleaner state of transportation.
Take a look at glass. It's nearly indestructible. We can recycle it again and again. But every year we throw out 28 billion glass bottles and containers. Now that's a bunch of garbage. Get involved with today's environment today.
Plastics recycling has been around for years. Still, a lot of plastics are tossed into landfills because they're too tough and expensive to break down. But we'll show you technology that can grind previously indestructible materials into particles as fine as this cinnamon.
Every day, manufacturing plants across the U.S. create tons of durable plastic and rubber products. Just think about the miles of PVC tubing that pump water onto lawns and into homes. How about the millions of tires and rubber belts that drive America? These products are designed to take much use and abuse. But once they've served their purpose, they occupy valuable space in landfills that are already bursting at the seams. Manufacturers also discard, at considerable costs, mounds of scrap materials considered useless. It's not that businesses reject the recycling concept. In many cases, it's been difficult to granulate and separate valuable polymers from the plastic parts. The same goes for mixed material products such as reinforced rubber hoses and conveyor belts. Too much heat builds up in the process, causing particles to melt rather than be reduced and separated. But an existing technology from Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated is now being applied to heat-sensitive materials to break the waste cycle. It's the science of cryogenics. Cryogenics, from the Greek kryos, meaning icy cold or frost, allows us to transform tough, durable materials, such as a rubber ball, into fragile, glass-like substances that shatter at will. Air Products and Chemicals Incorporated pioneered the concept of cryogenic grinding, that is, using liquid nitrogen, a safe inert liquid, to freeze materials during reduction. In April of 1994, that corporation teamed up with Nelmore Company Incorporated, which has a long history of manufacturing recycling equipment for the plastics and recycling industries. Together, they're developing new technologies to meet the challenges of recycling plastic and rubber components. The typical recycling system consists of a primary size reduction step, which reduces the plastic scrap to a manageable size. Then, a cryogenic grinding step liberates the components from one another and facilitates their reuse. The temperature is kept very cold, usually below -100 degrees, so plastic materials freeze quickly, become brittle, and are easy to separate from the associated fiber, metal, or paper reinforcing agents. Products can be reduced to fine particles, allowing for more uniform particle distribution and separation of the various components. According to the Nelmore Company, that's important in making recycled products. Many processes generate scrap, and as raw material prices continue to escalate, so does the incentive to recycle this waste. This technology turns it into fine powders at a cost far less than the raw material. And the quality of recycled products has proven to be just as good. As the usage of plastic products continues to increase, so must our efforts to recycle them. They don't have to go to waste. Auto parts made from recycled materials. You'll be surprised at the facts. Plus, closing the recycling loop at the office. Next on Today's Environment.
Lots of communities recycle plastic on a regular basis these days. But where does it all go? Some are found in brand new cars. We'll show you how one auto manufacturer makes the recycled pieces fit.
An awful lot goes into making a car. Steel, rubber, and in some cases, plastic soda bottles. Seem odd? Well, it's not. As more plastics enter the recycled stream, suppliers are finding more creative outlets for developing reusable products, even in the auto industry. As suppliers develop recycled materials, they're always on the lookout for new applications they can sell to industries. Likewise, auto engineers search for new and better ways to improve their cars. Take the new Aurora, for instance. General Motors and Oldsmobile decided to build a car that would offer a suitable U.S.-made alternative to the luxury imports. Certainly, sound structure, design, and performance were critical for competing in a top-of-the-line world-class marketplace. Parts made from recycled materials played a valuable role in the manufacturing of this new sedan without compromising quality. In some instances, these components even outperformed those made from virgin materials. Right underneath this cloth headliner is a lightweight substrate made completely from recycled plastic soda bottles. Each headliner is comprised of nearly 55 2-liter bottles. That means more than 2 million of these containers found a second home in the nearly 40,000 headliners produced for Auroras alone during 1994. This recycled substrate was selected for its outstanding acoustical properties, which reduce noise and make the car quieter. The component is also rigid enough to withstand the weight of the accessories attached to it, and it's economical to produce. Recycled soda bottles, along with carpet scraps of virgin polypropylene, also make up trunk trim. This mat of fibers is attached to a sound-absorbent material and fitted into the trunk. A similar process is used for door insulation to block out noise. Even aluminum cans and copper from wiring scrap are reused for the sturdy bumper beam. Another recycled material used in the radiator support panel is scrap sheet molding compound, more commonly known as fiberglass. By choosing recycled materials, manufacturers reduce energy consumption in the long run. That's because all plastics are developed from oil and natural gas deep beneath the Earth's surface. Whenever plastics can be recycled, we lessen our need to drill, refine, and then break down oil into usable fractions. Plus, recycling saves room in landfills, so the Earth benefits in many ways. By fitting our cars with recycled material, we can enjoy high-quality endurance while reducing bottlenecks in our landfills and saving precious energy sources.
You may think recycling doesn't make that much difference, but take inventory around your house. Have you ever noticed the cardboard in your cereal box or in a roll of paper towels? All kinds of products come from recycled paper. Let's see how it works.
Every year, the United States throws away enough office paper to build a wall 12 feet high, all the way from New York to Los Angeles. Consider that the average office worker discards more than 175 pounds of high-grade paper a year. It all adds up. Experts predict that half of our landfills will shut down by the year 2000. America wasn't always this carefree. During the Depression, money was hard to come by. No one threw anything away that might have had the slightest potential for reuse or repair.
Through hard times and prosperous ones, paper processors and packagers like V. Ponte & Sons Incorporated, a 75-year-old recycling company, and their integrated manufacturing company, Recycled Paperboard Incorporated, have known the value of recycling.
For years, recycling programs have been designed for governments and businesses. Employees learn how to meet the mandatory codes for disposal and recycling in their communities. The program is simple to implement. After a survey and waste audit, the custodial staff as well as all employees learn how to discard waste. Employees use designated waste paper baskets solely for paper products. Another designated container with a translucent bag, often located in a lunchroom or break area, calls for metal, glass, and plastic containers only. All other non-recyclable waste is deposited into a separate trash can containing a black liner. It's usually located in or near a lunchroom or coffee area. Each evening, the custodial staff collects all the recyclables and empties them into a container on the loading dock. These materials then travel to a processing facility where workers separate the wheat from the chaff. Consumer-sourced separated paper is sorted further for other recyclables and any contamination before sending it to the paper processor. Sorting is important, of course, just in case someone threw a half-eaten pizza into the wrong bin. Plus, some recycling manufacturers accept only certain kinds of paper. Then the paper goes to a trommel where dirt and grit is shaken loose. From there, it travels to a baler where it's compressed into bales and ready for shipping to paper mills all over the world. Now here's where the amazing change occurs. Mill workers drop bales into a hydropulper of hot water, 180 degrees, breaking the paper down to its original pulp fibers. This transformed liquid pulp is then steamrolled and pressed onto felt. The outcome? Well, today it's cardboard, tomorrow it might be tissue paper. And the same V. Ponte customers that provided the waste paper can now purchase recycled products, closing the recycling loop. Remember, one man's waste is another man's wealth. So don't throw the world away. Recycle.
Hey, nobody walks in LA, or any other city for that matter. About 80% of every car trip is under 10 miles. When you walk or ride a bike, you save energy, release no emissions, you get some good exercise. Might even find using a bike cuts down on your gasoline bill. Well, I hope this show inspires you to try something new that benefits the Earth. Join me again next time as we explore more environmental solutions on Today's Environment.
The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA.